Okay, guys, so already in the beginning of this, I tried to show you that you're always going to have, if you look at this, you're going to be setting rates that are going to be proportional. You're looking at unit rates, and you're going to try to make them, you're going to make it so you have a 1 on the bottom because it's 1 unit. How much does it cost for 1 unit? So if it costs you $2.86 for 11 tangerines, how much is it going to cost you for 1 tangerine? Okay. And then I showed you that what you would do is then, so the first thing you would do is set up the proportion. Second thing you would do, second thing you would do is convert by using scale factor to get the 1, right? Then the third thing you would do is do the division and this, and then pay attention. Okay, so you got to be careful. You got to make sure you know what your original units are, and you got to pay attention to what they're asking you for. Price per in dollar per tangerine. You got to pay attention what they want you to round it to. So you've got to be careful. Now, again, if I were you, I would be using a highlighter. Where I'm using a highlighter, use a highlighter. And if I were you in your learning journals, I would be using color, or in your journal here, or in your notes, using color. I would definitely be using color in your learning journals when you're transferring the things that you didn't already know over to the learning journal to help yourself understand how to do it. Okay? So right now, if you didn't know how to do these, if you're watching this video, basically these notes should probably be going in your learning journal. Okay? So that you have, this is the stuff you didn't know. Okay? And you can always print out another copy of this and cut out the pieces and tape them into your learning journal. So you have this. You don't have to rewrite this or have to read your own writing. Okay, so again, if it says unit price, the key word there is unit. Okay, because we're going to talk about unit price. We're going to have dollar. Price is a key word because that means we're going to have dollars over. And what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about pencils here, right? So it's going to be dollars per pencil. Okay. And I would always write out my units like this because you have to make sure that now everything on the top is dollars and everything on the bottom is pencils. That helps you keep things organized and helps you stop from making a mistake. Okay. So really what you're going to do is fill this in. They said we're going to have $4.75 per 25 pencils. What we want to know is how many for 1 pencil. So to get there, what we have to do is we're going to we have to divide 25 by 25 to get 1. So that means we have to divide 475 by 25. Okay. So if we're dividing 475, that's really saying how many quarters are in it and $4.75. Okay. And so you can do the long division over here. So you could say, and again, remember that it's always the top goes on the inside. Okay, and the bottom always comes out on the outside of that division. So if that's something that will mess a lot of students up, they'll reverse these. So if you write that down right now because you never thought of it that way, that's a good thing. So what's on the top is $4.75. So we go 4.75. And what's on the bottom is 25. So we're going to have 25 over here. We're going to you need to understand that this is where the whole numbers are, right? So you put a decimal there because that's the whole numbers. Because in $4, okay, in 4, there is no 25 doesn't go into 4. But it will go into 47 once. Okay? So we're going to have to put the 1 over here. Okay? And 1 times 25 is 25. Then we subtract the 25 from the 40. We're really saying $2.50, $4.75 minus $2.50. That's going to give us $2.25. All right. Then we got to ask yourself, how many times will 25 go into 225? Okay, so again, look down your multiplication table. Go down that 25 column and see what it comes out to be. Okay, and it's going to be 9. And that's going to come out to 225. So then I have 0. So I don't even have anything over here. It's just this. Now, this is where you have to understand. There's $0, right? It's going to be $0, 0.19, which is 19/100ths of a dollar, which is 19 cents. Okay, so you would say your answer would be, you remember you have to use your units. You would say 19 cents per pencil. You could say $0.19 per pencil, and you'd be fine. And you don't have to write the 1 down. Later on, I'm going to talk to you about 1 being the brother nobody talks about. Okay, it's the one that it's assumed it's there, but you could just say it's 19 cents per pencil. Either one of these two answers would be correct. Okay, so again, what we did was, look at what we did. We said we were going to first write out what our units were going to be. Okay, write out our units. Then second, we were going to use scale factor to come up with this. Third, we were going to do the long division. And then fourth, we're going to write out our answer. Okay. Now again, we're always talking about ratios when we're doing this. This section's about ratios. But what they give us here on this next one is that they just tell us 32 hours to 36. So this, you would write it like this. You could write it like this. This one is always the top, and this one is always the bottom. In a fraction, we would call this the numerator, this the denominator. But these are ratios, which are different than fractions. All fractions are ratios, but not all ratios are fractions. So we start out, and they give us that we're going to have 32 hours to 36 hours. Okay, so you got to simplify this. Now, if you've done the prime factorizations, I would do the prime factorization of it to avoid making mistakes. When you have your hundreds chart, this is going to become really easy, because you just look at your hundreds chart and you'll see that 32 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And that 36 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Okay, now what you're going to do is look and see what reduces. So what makes a 1? 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And there's only 3's left on the bottom. There's no 3's on top. Okay. So now these are just 1's. So this is going to equal 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And 3 times 3 is 9. So this is going to equal, this is the same as 8 over 9 hours per hour. 8 hours for every 9 hours. Now notice what you did was, what some of you have done, you would have said, oh, that's 4 times 8 and 4 times 9. And the reason why you can simplify that is this makes a 1. 4 divided by 4 is a 1. So I don't care which way you do it. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this more so you have another way to do it. So you have another tool. And I think you'll see this is easier and less mistakes than this. but your final answer is you have 8 hours for every 9 hours. Okay, so it was important that we looked at what they give us for units, that we understand what we're talking about for a ratio, that we understand what that means, and that the top goes on top, and the second one goes on the bottom. Okay. Okay, so that's important for what we do with this one. But the most important thing is to remember that they told us it was laptops to desktops, which means the first one is on the top and the second one's on the bottom. So if I were you, what I would be doing is saying, I'm supposed to have laptops to desktops and equals 8 over 9. I'd write this out just like I have written right here. Okay. Then I would go and look at each one. This is already laptops to desktops. Okay. And you might even just write it out and say, I'm going to have this says laptops to desktops. And it's going to be 8 over 9, which is exactly what this is. There's 9 desktops, 8 laptops. 8 laptops for every 9 desktops. Now look at this one. They give you the 2, but they put laptops on top. Okay, so they have laptops over desktops, and they say there's 9 laptops. So that's going to be 9 over, and there's 8 desktops. 9 over 8 is not the same thing as 8 over 9. So this one would not work. It's not the same. It doesn't describe the same thing. Okay, so remember that we're always going to, to keep things safe, we're always going to be writing laptops over desktops. Okay, might as well just write that on all of them. Are you getting laptops over desktops, right? So just go ahead and say, well, how many laptops? There's 9 laptops. There's 9 laptops. And here we have 8 desktops. Here we have 8 desktops. They give us a ratio of laptops to desktops, 8 over 9. The only one that is 8 over 9 is this first one. The rest of them are not 8 over 9. Okay, so it all comes down to making sure you're writing out your units. Laptops to desktops, right? That's what this ratio looks like. And we just have to keep the units in place. If you write out the units, write that out on every one of them. You're going laptops over desktops. Identify how many laptops, put that number there on top, how many, and just maybe you just go through each one of them and say how many laptops, write that down on the top, then how many desktops, search for it, and make sure you're connecting them right, and that it makes it that simple. Okay, well at this point if you still don't understand, come to class with questions. I'm doing the extended video to give you some additional explanation. And if this isn't enough explanation, well, you still spent 25 minutes looking at it and trying it. And that's a good effort. Okay, if you've really written down in your learning journal and your notes and you've written down here and you've given yourself some, see, if I were you, I would be writing some notes down. Like always just from here, keep it the same. I told you that what I would do is I would look at this and say, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify what the units are. I'm going to look at my ratio, and I'm going to write out my ratio for what they give me, what they want it to match. the fourth thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and write out on each one of these, I'm going to write out this is the fourth thing. I'm going to write out the units in the way they're going to be written out as a ratio. Laptops over desktops, laptops over desktops, laptop. And then the fifth thing I'm going to do is go identify. I'm going to identify, right, what they're giving, what the units are. I'm going to be careful. And maybe I would just take and look at all the laptops and fill that in. And then look at all the desktops and fill that in and say which ones are the same. Okay, so if you're still not understanding this, that's okay. Come to class and ask questions. That I'm giving you the video instruction here does not mean I don't plan on giving you instructions in class. It means this is going to be better, and I'm going to be able to help you with your classwork, with the work you would normally be taking home. I and my peer leader, or if I have Mr. Acker in there, all of us are going to be able to walk around and help you understand this stuff. Okay? Okay. Well, write down your questions. Make sure you're giving yourself some good notes. If I've said something in here that made sense that you've never heard before, write it out in sentence form so that you remember it. Okay, good luck. Come with questions. I look forward to your questions. Have a good day.